Hi there, it's Jen from modernmedicinelady.com and the Empathic Woman System, and the word of the day is ringer, as in getting put through the ringer. And I choose this word because the last few days, since like Thursday, have been doozies. There has been a lot of stuff going on. It has been stressful. There's been stuff going on with my extended family around health issues. There's been some big stuff going on in the works around finances and my business that was not resolved, and I was really hoping it would get solved and I would get some answers that were just not coming. And I was anticipating a meeting that was going to be happening, and there was just all kinds of stress, as well as some additional pieces like moving puzzle pieces that just were not coming together. And so I was really going through the emotional ringer. And more accurately, I was putting myself through the emotional ringer, because while I really had absolutely no control over pretty much any of these things that were going on, they were completely out of my hands. It wasn't me that got to go, and if I did my homework assignment, everything was going to be fine. It was like this was relying on other people's actions, other people's choices, and things that were completely out of my ability to do anything about it. But what I found myself doing was that I found myself feeling really uncomfortable. And so instead of just being like, yep, you're really uncomfortable and you're really powerless and there is nothing that you're going to be able to do about this except for turn it over to God. So part of me was able to do that, as I had spoken about that and Unplugged the other day. Part of me was doing that, but there was this other part of me that was having none of it and was trying to figure the shit out, trying to sort out how I could make things different, and just kept on whirring around in all of these machinations of how I could control the situation. And on top of that, there was a part of me that was going way forward into the future and projecting all kinds of stuff about what was going to happen next. And then there was this other part of me that was going way back into the past and was associating things that are going on now with painful experiences in the past. So I don't know if you've ever heard somebody say that when you have one foot in the future and one foot in the past, you're pissing on today. But essentially, there was at least half a foot in the future and half a foot in the past. And as a result, it was kind of like I was in this major tug of war here right now in the present. And I was also telling myself stories. I was telling myself stories about what was going to happen, and I was telling myself stories about what other people were thinking. I was telling myself stories about what was going to be happening next. I was forming conclusions about why things were happening the way they were happening. And essentially, I was making myself completely miserable because I was essentially trying to tell myself stories about everything and at the same time trying to figure it out, sort it out, and force an outcome. Needless to say, I was miserable. And yet, at the same time that I was going through all of this, there was this other part of me that was just sitting back and watching this whole process, seeing that I was uncomfortable and acknowledging that I was uncomfortable, seeing that I was fearful and acknowledging that I was fearful, seeing that I was angry and acknowledging that I was angry, seeing that I was sad and acknowledging that I was sad, and just showing up for it and recognizing it and continuing to just turn it over to my higher power, continuing to basically say, yep, even though I'm feeling really uncomfortable, I can love myself anyway. Even though I'm feeling really scared, I'm okay right here, right now. So it was a really interesting dance of just watching the way that part of me was putting part of myself through the ringer, while another part of me was able to just hold the whole space and just sit in that place of surrender and willingness and faith. And if anything, I can really say that the lesson in this process in the last few days is that it doesn't have to be either or. Sometimes things can be so uncomfortable, there's going to be a part of us that's going to be projecting all over the place. Sometimes things are going to be so stressful that we're going to be going way off into the future and way back into the past, and we're going to be doing all kinds of dances of resistance because it's just that uncomfortable. And even though we may be putting ourselves through the ringer, we can also just acknowledge that we're putting ourselves through the ringer and we're okay anyway, that it's all right. And that when we start to recognize it, that we can then turn to the people who we care about and we can ask for help from the people who've got our back. So the good news is that in this particular case, many of the situations that were up in the air for me in the last 5 days have all reconciled. They've resolved themselves. A lot of the stuff that was going on has sort of come through and now has reached resolution. And as a result of that, I can certainly breathe a sigh of relief. I can also really see how much my telling myself stories was not really doing me any good. But I also understand that that was the way that I was working through the discomfort. And all I can really do is just acknowledge it, accept it, and love myself anyway. I definitely also know and want to say that the funniest part of it is that it was when I really decided to let go, when I decided to stop putting myself through the emotional ringer, and I decided to just really turn to one of my mentors for help and say, I am a total hot mess. I really need some help right now because I am just going through it and I need you to guide me through this process. Like, please help me right now. And it was ironically after I made the decision to ask for help that a whole bunch of things suddenly clicked into place after like weeks and weeks of being unresolved. And I think that's not a coincidence. I really do believe that it took my willingness to stop micromanaging every single bit of it and to stop trying to figure it out and control it, to let it go through. So my question to you right now is, do you put yourself through the ringer when you're already going through something stressful? Do you find yourself trying to micromanage things? Do you find yourself projecting into the future, telling yourself stories about why something is the way it is? How much do you torture yourself when you're already having a hard time? And what would it be like to just acknowledge, yeah, even though this really sucks, even though this is really uncomfortable, I choose to love myself anyway. Even though I have no idea what's coming next, I can acknowledge that it's hard and I can accept this moment right here, right now. And I'm okay right here, right now. So I would love to hear what you have to say about all of this. Please leave a comment below. And until next word of the day, I am wishing you peace. I am wishing you ease. I am wishing you the grace of recognizing when it's hard and the ability to ask for support and help, even when there's resistance, even when maybe you're projecting all over the place into the future, but that it's still okay. So, in the meantime, please go like my Facebook page, Modern Medicine Lady LLC, and I will be eternally grateful for your help to get this video out into the world. Please like it, please share it, please pass it along to other people who would find it useful. Thank you so much, and until tomorrow, peace.